Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. I know it's been a while since you've seen me. I've been very busy and taking a break. I needed a break. But I wanted to do the intro to this video. We had done this video years ago, and I had an ex-JW contact me. Oh, it's been a while, and I could not remember the title of this video. And I remember the clips in it, but I just could not find it on our channel. And I still can't find it on our channel. But I found the original video on my external drive. And so this is why I am re-uploading this video, because I can't find it anywhere. And I also recently had another person contact me and ask me about this video, and there again I couldn't remember the title, so I've spent all morning going through my external drive and I did find it, and so I'm going to re-upload this, and I hope you all enjoy it. Have a wonderful day. Bye. Hello everybody.
Howdy, and welcome to Sunset, New Mexico.
Yes. Many of you have thanked us for our Watchtower Freemason connection videos, and we think this might be the last one in the series. We think.
Yeah, I've actually read the entire book now.
Wow.
It's got chapter 20 is the last one. Is very mind-blowing. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be reading a lot from this book. And before we do that, there's a couple of things that we need to state, because in conclusion, I'm going to be making some statements. And, Kim?
Yeah. Well, I have a disclaimer here. Well, on one of our videos, someone asked if we were talking about, some ex-JW activists. And it's like, no, we weren't. So I've got a disclaimer here that if anyone feels that we are directing this at any ex-JW, we are not. It is coincidental and are speaking strictly about Watchtower's connection with the occult and Freemasonry. And I want to thank Geo for sending me this, I don't know if it's like a travel thing, they're talking to someone who is basically an occultist, but this is the reason we are going to get into this. So Mike has a thing here he wants to
I have something else too, that in reading this book, and as I stated earlier in a previous video, he uses the name Jehovah as if it's the name of the true God of the universe. I really wish that this author would have been able to do more research into the things behind that name Jehovah. But was it truly available, the amount of research into this name Jehovah, when he wrote this book? I don't think so. I think more has come to light this day and age regarding the name Jehovah, because with the clip that we're going to show, you're going to see why I absolutely abhor that name Jehovah. But again, because of context, I'll have to use it as I'm reading some pages from this book.
Yeah. Now, I want to warn everybody that if, like the occult or demonism or anything like that gives you the heebie-jeebies and scares you, you might want to fast forward this clip. Because in editing this, it gave me the creeps. And at one point, we slowed the video down, and I said, oh my God, Mike, listen to this.
Yeah, and the reason we slowed the video down is because when you get to that one scene, the name Jehovah is used, but it's spoken in Spanish, and the scene was so quick. So we tried to slow the scene down, and when we did,
we slowed it down too much and got this really weird noise. So that's going to be the clip at the end.
At the end.
But, even if you have to rewind it and hear, read what he is saying or pause it, because it is in Spanish and it's got subtitles, so if you need to pause it and read what he is saying, And like I said, I want to thank Gio for sending us this video, because we love YouTube now, because you can do research, you know, that you just don't find anywhere else. Now, this video was under travel, you know, so it's
Yeah.
like a travel video, and they're talking to different cultures and stuff like this. And this was really creepy. And it does have a connection, you know, with what we're going to be bringing out, because we're going to be talking about
Yeah.
Watchtower's connection with the occult and Freemasonry, and it all ties in together.
Yes.
So hopefully we can get it to all tie in smoothly for all of you.
Okay, so let's watch the clip.
Este es una mesa de sacrificio. Saco a mi ídolo que es satánico, lo pongo allí, allí amarro sus patas del chivo. Este es el momento del sacrificio, es la mesa del sacrificio.
¿Qué otros sacrificios se pueden hacer aquí en este lugar?
Cualquier sacrificio de cualquier animal, siempre que sea sangre, no humana. Aquí tenemos este santuario que están sus imágenes de ellos. Satanás, Lucifer, Jehová y Adonai. Con el que trabajamos siempre es Satanás.
Aquí tenemos este santuario que están sus imágenes de ellos. Satanás, Lucifer, Jehová y Adonai. Con el que trabajamos siempre es Satanás.
Kind of sets a scary tone, doesn't it, dear?
Yeah, and we didn't even plan it that this was right before Halloween. Didn't even think about that until now.
No. So I'm going to state it once again, Jehovah's Witnesses. I've stated it before in many of our videos. You have no idea what you are involved with and the depth that you are involved with it. If you think that this opening clip was all BS, then take a look at the August 1st, 2010 Watchtower, the cover. Look where it says announcing Jehovah's Kingdom up at the top. Do you see that image under the name Jehovah? No? Look at it with a mirror. Put a mirror right up to the edge. Right where it's right underneath the name Jehovah. Now do you see it? See, isn't it kind of clever that that name Jehovah is over the face of the bull? Just like he showed in the opening clip. They showed a picture of the bull, and he said, this is Jehovah. It's almost like Watchtower put the name Jehovah over the bull's face as a stamp of approval. Hey, Jehovah's Witnesses, welcome to your nightmare. You're still not convinced that this is a satanic cult? Then the rest of this video is not for you.
Just shut it off now and go watch a kitten video.
Shut it off, go away, because this video is not for you. But for the rest of us, I'm going to conclude this series on Freemasons and Jehovah's Witnesses because I finished reading the book. And yes, as you can tell, I'm kind of reading this because there's a lot involved, and I want to make sure that I do it right. Now, I'm going to read starting at chapter 20. And as I read this, remember, the authors of this book are writing this with Freemasons in mind. They're not writing this with Jehovah's Witnesses in mind. But
Which was interesting.
Yes, very, very interesting.
We seen the similarities right away.
Yeah, and I was told, and I haven't confirmed it, that this John Ankerberg used to be a Jehovah's Witness, and how he could actually write something like this. Like I said, I haven't confirmed it. I'm just going on what I was told. But if he were indeed associated with Jehovah's Witnesses at one time, I don't know how he could ever put a book together like this, unless he became a Jehovah's Witness after he wrote the book. But then at the same time, how could he have become a Jehovah's Witness and been trapped? Honestly. So anyhow, I'm going to start reading, and as I read this, you will be able to note the direct similarities with Jehovah's Witnesses. In much occultism, and often in the world of the occult, the deception of the profane, the outsider, is a notable endeavor. Such an approach keeps the sacred truths, which these cults consider pure, hidden from the unworthy. Deception and secrecy also protect certain cults from criticism of those particular unethical, unscriptural, antisocial, or even criminal teachings that outsiders would find offensive and perhaps hinder the growth and influence of the cult. Just like the Watchtower Bible Tract Society and their child sexual abuse. Subheading: Why Masonry uses deception. Masonry, too, is a religion of deception and secrecy. As Albert Pike observes, secrecy is indispensable in a Mason of whatever degree. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to page 256. I'm going to read some information here. Now this is taken from Martin L. Wagner's book, Freemasonry, Masonry and Interpretation, and it's found on page 288 to 289. This esoteric occult, or hidden aspect of Masonry, which deliberately conceals the truth from and deceives even its own initiates, is documented in great detail in Martin L. Wagner's Freemasonry and Interpretation. And then he quotes from the book. The theism of Freemasonry is peculiar, and every precaution is taken by the institution to preserve it incorporated and concealed from the knowledge of the profane and from its own disciples until they give adequate evidence that they can be entrusted with this secret. Now he goes on to quote from Albert Pike in his book Morals and Dogma, which I've already shown I am in possession of. This quotation is found on page 818 and 819, and I'm only going to read part of this quote. The blue degrees are but the outer court or portico of the temple. And if I mispronounce something, please jump in.
Okay, well up here, incorrupted.
Incorrupted, excuse me, incorrupted, thank you. Incorrupted and concealed from the knowledge of the profane. There you go. The blue degrees are but the outer court or portico of the temple. Part of the symbols are displayed there to the initiate, but he is intentionally misled by false interpretations. It is not intended that he shall understand them, but it is intended that he shall imagine he understands them.
Wow, that sounds just like Watchtower. They can't quite explain, the overlapping generation, but they think they understand it.
They think they look
But
at
this is the great deception that Watchtower
right,
does.
and look at what they've done with explaining Bible scriptures. They take them out of context and they explain them out of context, and they make the Bible student think they understand what the scripture's saying. Okay, now I'm going to go on to page 257, and I'm going to read paragraphs 2 and 4. Masonry claims that it is only a fraternal fellowship working for the good of all men. But this idea only serves as a disguise to deceive those who are unaware of the more universal and global goals that many Masons are working for, namely, to conform the world to the paradise conditions that man... Oh, no, that's not what it says. Namely, to conform the world to the specific doctrines of Masonry.
New World Order.
New World Order. Exactly. Now, paragraph 4. the inner level. Masonry not only publicly denies its true outer teachings, it also securely keeps hidden. Secretly keeps hidden from the public certain of its esoteric or occult teachings. For example, concerning their correlation to ancient phallicism, such teachings would be offensive to both the public and even the majority of Masons. Now,
I was going to mention, in that video clip we just showed, we caught something.
I hope you had all caught it too.
Yes. And so we're going to put the still shot of this up right now. So this is his little Satan. And look at the phallus on that.
Yes.
That phallus is so huge that it casts a shadow.
Yes. Now, if you're a Jehovah's Witness that stuck with it to this point, you can obviously see the phallus symbol that is pictured on this image, what is portrayed as Satan. But did you catch the phallus symbol in this black brother's hand right here?
On your songbook?
On your songbook? Oh, but Mikey, surely that isn't a penis. You know, you're just seeing things. Honestly, Watchtower would never do that. Then ask why they changed the back cover.
Looks like a
Jehovah's
real wrist
Witnesses. Ask why they changed the back cover. No penis? Penis. No penis? Penis. Your organization is absolutely involved in phallus worship. How does it make you feel, knowing that Watchtower has secretly hid this from you?
And I also put up a photo right here. This was from their Awake that was about pornography of all things.
Yes. Look at the penis on the
It's the
book bag.
front of his book bag.
Yep. Jehovah's Witnesses, like I said in the beginning, you have no idea of the depth that you're involved with this organization. Wow. Okay, now he goes on, he's going to quote again from Wagner's book, The Freemasonry and Interpretation. And in fact, the rest of these quotes pretty much come from that Wagner's book from page 137 to 503. What I'm going to read next, he quotes directly from page 139. And I'm just going to jump back up so that I can kind of put this back into context again. It says, now speaking about the correlation to ancient phallicism, such teachings would be so offensive to both the public and even the majority of Masons that, were the secret religious doctrines of Freemasonry generally known, the institution would surely fall. Now let me put these in terms that you can understand, Jehovah's Witnesses. Were the secret religious doctrines of the Watchtower Bible Tract Society generally known, the institution would surely fall. For such doctrines as were apprehended then, and institutions founded upon them, cannot exist except under the cover of absolute secrecy, and a disguise impenetrable to the uninitiated. Very few Masons know what Freemasonry is, especially in its fundamental phallic religious aspect. You could absolutely put the Watchtower Bible Tract Society in that paragraph and it would read identical. Going on, as noted earlier, even Masonic authorities in landmark number 23 have admitted that were it not for the Masonic emphasis on secrecy, the lodge would probably not survive. Masonry therefore deceives the public at two levels. but the lodge deceives its own members as well, as Pike mentioned above.
Now, since many of you are new to our channel and do not know that we did an entire series on subliminal images and a lot to do with this phallic worship, we're going to put the link down below to the playlist of those videos that we did. And the original video is included in there where we did the songbook.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, carrying on. Let's see. Now let me make sure that I want to read what I want to read here. Page 257, paragraph 3:1. Okay. Talking about the 2 levels of deception, I'm just going to go to the second level because this pertains very much to the Watchtower Bible Tract Society. Second, Masonry keeps its higher truths hidden from the initiate, until he is prepared to receive them. Well, that's like when you agree to take a Bible study with Jehovah's Witnesses. A lot of these things are purposely withheld, and even that person studying the book with you may not even be aware that these symbols and these hidden meanings, these hidden truths are there. The higher truths are there. The Blue Lodge is only the first step along the Masonic path. And in the first 3 degrees, nothing but the exoteric outer doctrines are revealed. As a result of this, now he quotes again from Wagner's book, pages 142 and 150. You'll have to pronounce the neophyte, the initiate. I think that's how you
good
pronounce
enough.
it. Good enough. The initiate comes to the lodge ignorant of its nature, religious character, and methods of instruction, and therefore disqualified to discern the Masonic ideas conveyed by the mimic rites, symbols, and art of speech. Doesn't Watchtower talk about developing the art of speech? They sure do.
Yeah.
He does not know that a double meaning is attached to these symbols and art speech, so that the most ordinary language is made to carry a deep religious and ethical meaning, which very few apprehend. Now, when I read this, I thought immediately of one of the study aid books that Watchtower use. You Can Live Forever in Paradise on Earth. I'm going to go to a picture here that Watchtower uses, and it's a drawn picture. And what I've done is I have put my book on top of my notes. I don't know which page it is specifically. Let me make an adjustment here. Live Forever book, page 19.
Is that the one with the guy running away from the cops?
Yes, it is. Now, as I explain this, Jehovah's Witnesses, you will have to remember that an artist sitting at an art table, the Watchtower Bible Tract Society hand drew this picture, hand colored it in. This is not a photograph of somebody robbing a jewelry store. It's not.
It's artwork.
This is artwork. This come out of the mind of a Jehovah Witness artist sitting at an art table. Now, if you will notice, there, right there, if you can get your larger book, you can see this in a much larger print. That is the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. That is an occult symbol. But see, when you studied this book with the initiate, they had no idea that that occult symbol was right in the forefront. They also would not be able to catch this. If you look on the jacket, right about there, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but there's an S. It's plain. Over here on the sleeve is a very pronounced E. I'm going to let you find the X. If you think I'm bullshitting you, Jehovah's Witnesses, get your Live Forever book.
Well, a lot of
It's there.
witnesses studying with the initiates don't even know that's in there.
No, they don't even know. Now I'm going to go to page 147. Here's a picture that looks very much religious in nature. It's Christ returning to heaven. Now, if you look where the arrow is, there is a half demonic face in the clouds. Again, get your mirror and complete the image. And you will see that it very much looks like the bull's head. Remember back in the opening video we showed you, the bull represented who? Jehovah. That is an occult name that you people are praying to. Okay, going on with page 261.
Paragraph 2.
Paragraph 2. Semantics. Semantic distortion and unfair or dishonest use of words is a common characteristic found in modern cultism. What's also found throughout the Watchtower Bible Tract Society too. It is an effective means for securing intended deceptions, including those of Masonry. As noted by Wagner above, specific words may be used in an ambiguous or deceptive manner in order to appear to teach one thing but actually teach something else.
I've seen quite a bit of that in Watchtower literature too.
Yeah. Well,
Now that we're awake.
well, now that we're awake, and here again, all you got to do is look at some of your April 1st issues.
Very carefully worded to where it sounds like one thing, but when you actually, process what is being said,
Yes.
it means something different.
It's something different. Next paragraph. For example, Masonry employs the terms God, Jehovah, justification, monotheism, unity of God, resurrection, and regeneration. And when I read this paragraph, this is where I actually made the note that I mentioned earlier, that I really wish he'd have done more research on that name Jehovah, because I think he'd have probably gone to a little more in depth in tying that name directly to the occult. Okay, now page 262, paragraphs 2 and 3. But the goal is the deception of the Christian. Let me start that again, because you're looking at a goal of Freemasonry, and Watchtower uses the same goal. Jehovah's Witnesses, if a penis appears on the back of your songbook, as I showed in this video, then ultimately the goal of Watchtower is to mislead the Christian. And those of us that have come out and remained people of faith, we can see that that is the ultimate goal, to destroy your faith in Christ and God. Paragraph 2, again, but the goal is the deception of the Christian. Freemasonry, like a pirate ship, floats with a friendly banner inscribed with Jehovah's name, that the unsuspecting may become an easy prey. The end result is a classic and cunningly devised duping of both Mason and non-Mason alike. Paragraph 3. In fact, the very sins and deceptions that God's people in ancient Israel fell prey to involve some of the same reasons modern Christians become Masons. These include 3 dynamics: lack of commitment to God and ignorance of who God really is, lack of a spiritual discernment with the resulting confusion between the true God and a false God, leading to idolatry, blasphemy, and apostasy, even while thinking that it is the one true God who is being honored and served. Fits Watchtower right to a T. Okay, page 263.
You want me to cross off these ones you've already done?
Yeah, please do. The third problem was the horrible result: idolatry, blasphemy, and apostasy from the true faith, leading for Israel to God's judgment. And again, I'm just going to skip down through just a little bit. It says Jehovah himself became regarded as one of the Baals and the chief of them. Look at the opening scene. Thus, through this doctrine of the unity and identity of Jehovah and Baal, the name and the honor of Jehovah was degraded to a sensual deity whose most acceptable worship was the indulgence of lust.
Well, that's why that clip we showed was so good, because if these occultists, these Luciferians, these, Satanists, have a picture of this demon and call him by the name Jehovah, I mean, why would you want any connection with the occult whatsoever?
Or the name Jehovah.
And we have many that email us and ask us, well, what should we call God then? And it's like Jesus told us what to call him in Matthew 6. Our Father.
Our Father.
So it is that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Going on, thus to find that in a similar fashion, Christian Masons achieve similar results as their ancient brethren. Christian Masons, now he quotes again from Wagner, debase the conception of Jehovah by elements borrowed from this modern nature worship, which is the phallus worship. That's what nature worship is, but disguised in terms of a builder's craft. Wow. Well, that's about all I had, but I want to read a little bit from the epilogue on page 265.
Paragraph
Wait,
2.
yeah, paragraph 2, because believe it or not, this
2
author,
and 3.
yeah, this author does make two connections to Jehovah's Witnesses, and this is in the epilogue, page 265.
Third paragraph.
Well, I want to read paragraph 2 first.
Oh.
Masonry claims that it can fit a person for heaven, but the Word of God teaches otherwise. And he quotes John 3:36, whoever believes in the Son has eternal life, but whoever rejects the Son will not see life, for God's wrath remains on him. Paragraph 3, Christianity bears an odd relationship to historic Masonry. Christians who would never think of joining a group like the Mormon Church or promoting the cult of the Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's what it says, I'm not being facetious here, that's what it says, promoting the cult of the Jehovah's Witnesses will nevertheless join Masonry by the thousands. Why is this? It is largely because the religious nature of Masonry is more skillfully concealed. And the Watchtower Bible Tract Society is very, very cleverly and skillfully concealed. Okay, now I'm going to read on page 266, just before the heading, A History of Entanglement. Masonry and Christianity are mutually exclusive. One is either a good Mason or a hypocrite. To say there are Christian lodges is to say there are Christian kingdom halls or Christian Mormon temples. Wow, it's one heck of an education, isn't it?
Yes.
These are the only two references that this man makes in his book
But
regarding Jehovah's Witnesses.
that's all he needed. He called them a cult of Jehovah's Witnesses.
A cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. So if you're a current Jehovah's Witness that has watched this video to the end, I am sure that you're either confused or you're irritated. If
Or
you're
cussing you out.
Yeah, or cussing me out. If you are confused, it is my sincere hope that you will continue to investigate further. If some of these subliminal images have caught your eye, then I encourage you to go get your June 1st, 2014 Watchtower, God's View of Smoking.
And we did a video about this that will be down below in the playlist.
Down below in the playlist, I really encourage you to look at what Watchtower Bible Tract Society has disguised in this cigarette smoke. And if you can kind of faintly see it, there's an FU and a K right there. Let your mind open up and you'll see the entire word. This is from the minds of your organization.
Well, I was going to say, this thing of smoke right here, when you look at it closely, even resembles a woman's naked body.
Yes. Here is an Ankh, the cross. It's supposed to be a pagan symbol, but here it is. But if you are irritated at this video, you may be thinking, well, you know, Mikey, we all know that Masons don't allow women and children to be in their lodges. And you know, you would absolutely be correct with that statement. But if you were a Mason hell-bent on child abuse or some sort of sexual immorality, what better way than to start a religion that would invite women and children into your lodge? You would have a constant supply of women and children, wouldn't you?
Which is disgusting.
Start doing some research on Russell. Dig deep.
Look into him and Maria's divorce court proceedings, the transcript from that. Enlightening.
It's out there. But I can also imagine, Kim, that there's some Jehovah's Witness apologist out there saying, but Watchtower changed many lives for the better. In other words, Watchtower has done so much good. And you would be correct. I mean, after all, they've gotten over 8 million Jehovah's Witnesses to stop smoking. It's not even counting those that have passed on in death
That's
to
a good
quit
thing,
smoking.
right?
That's a good thing, right? Yeah. But that's a good thing, isn't it? Look how many STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, were avoided by people cleaning up their immoral lives. But that's a good thing, right?
They've done a lot of good.
Yeah. They've helped so many people. Look how many lives were saved by the Watchtower Bible Tract Society by getting some of us to quit the abuse of alcohol. But that's a good thing, right? They helped so many people. Drug abuse. Look how many lives were spared by the stopping of drug abuse. But that's a good thing, right? They've saved so many lives. They've helped so many people. Jehovah's Witnesses, at what point does the bad outweigh the good so that you'll see that you need to leave this religion? See, only you can answer that. At what point does the bad outweigh the good? You see, Jehovah's Witnesses, with all of the hidden phallic symbols, Watchtower is making you live their sexual fantasies. Let that sink in, folks. Playboy, hustler. You gonna really tell me that men buy those magazines just to... Oh, wait a minute. When you read some of those articles, aren't you living sexual fantasies? You're living the sexual fantasies of other people as you read that stuff. I wouldn't either. Any author who writes or any artist who draws out these things beyond the context that they're supposed to be in is forcing you to live their sexual fantasies. And it's also explained in this book. It's called nature worship or Baal worship. Sad to say that the Watchtower Bible Tract Society has a long, long history of sexual perversion.
Just like on this morning on our Facebook with that elder that was a dispatcher that was just arrested for raping children and
Yep.
child porn on his computer.
Yep,
A Watchtower elder in Fresno, California.
yep. Kim's going to read something from a 1972 Watchtower, and the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, in my opinion, wrote this way beyond the context, because they even state that having anal sex, they don't use anal sex, they use the word homosexual acts, but it's still anal sex with a person who is not your spouse is not grounds for a divorce.
Well, I think oral sex is included in
Is
that.
included in
You know,
that.
because it's all included in homosexual acts. So this is from the Watchtower Bond Volume, 1972, January 1st, page 31. Do homosexual acts on the part of a married person constitute a scriptural ground for divorce, freeing the innocent mate to remarry? And then they talk about how homosexuality is definitely condemned, but, and they go through this long explanation, and then over on page 32, it says, the context of Matthew chapter 19 confirms this conclusion, and that's about, it's talking about the scripture in Matthew about having a passion for a woman
Right.
you've already committed adultery in your heart. On the basis of the Hebrew scriptures, Jesus pointed out that a man and his wife become one flesh, and then added, what God has yoked together, let no man put apart. Now, in homosexual acts, the sex organs are used in an unnatural way, in a way for which they were not purposed. Two persons of the same sex are not complements of each other as Adam and Eve were. They could never become one flesh in order to procreate. It might be added in the case of human copulation with a beast, two different kinds of flesh are involved. Wrote the Apostle Paul, not all flesh is the same flesh, but there is one of mankind, and there is another flesh of cattle, and another flesh of birds, and another of fish. While both homosexuality and bestiality are disgusting perversions, in the case of neither, one is the marriage tie broken. It is broken only by acts that make an individual one flesh with a person of the opposite sex other than his or her legal marriage mate. So in this question from readers, they say that these homosexual acts, disgusting as they are and perverted, do not break the marriage ties.
And the sad result is that many Jehovah's Witnesses read that and started engaging in these type of sexual acts, hurting their mate, because they did not have what Watchtower and Bible Tract Society deemed were grounds for divorce. Imagine the harm. Imagine the hurt. Imagine living Watchtower's sexual fantasy as they were writing that. Thank goodness Raymond Franz came out and corrected that absolute blunder. But the damage was done. Too many people were hurt. But they did something good. I mean, didn't they help people stop smoking? Didn't they help people stop drinking to excess? They did so much good. This blunder doesn't matter, does it? When does the bad ever outweigh the good when people are being hurt? Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses. See, exposing Watchtower's connection to the occult and Freemasonry, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Exposing the harm, exposing the occult connection. But you know what? No matter what is exposed and how is it exposed, there will forever be those who like the warm, fuzzy feeling of having their heads comfortably poised up someone else's backside.
not only that, the elders telling them what to do.
Yeah.
And they like that security of Watchtower and the elders telling them what to do, what to believe, without checking anything out for themselves.
Exactly. So I think this is going to wind it up for this particular series on the connection between Freemasons and the Watchtower Bible Tract Society.
Unless we find anything interesting in any of the other books.
Yeah. I myself are absolutely convinced that the only reason why this religion got started, it was to feed the sexual fantasies of a man, and it has progressed into and money. And money. Well, you got to have money to live out those fantasies,
And
don't
power.
you? Because you got to have money to shut people up when they threaten to go to the police, right?
Yeah.
You got to
And
have
power.
money and power. You got to have power to shut some victims up. Instead of going to the police, we're going to disfellowship you. Oh, but they do so much good. They've helped so many people.
Well, look at in the broadcast. Do you remember from the JW broadcast? We did a video a while back. It's an imperfect organization
these
with
are-
imperfect men, but just trying to do Jehovah's will and follow the Bible. So, like Mike said, at what point do you say, look, this is more harm than good, and walk away?
And you have to walk away. Otherwise, Jehovah's Witnesses, you are going to continuously put yourself in harm's way. You are going to continuously live the sexual fantasies of this organization. See, now I'm not just talking about the initiate sitting in that kingdom hall as the rank and file. I'm talking about you elders that are questioning sisters that have had encounters with men, either fornication or adultery, because it's been well revealed what kind of questions you men ask. You ask these questions
Very
for
graphic.
one reason, and one reason only, is that you yourselves want to live those sexual fantasies of these poor women, and even men sometimes. You men are an abhorrent thing in this society.
Now, we're not talking about those that are fully awake, because we actually feel sorry for those that are awake and still stuck in the organization, because they see all this, they hear all of this, and, they're just sick. Some actually get sick to their stomachs. They told me, that they just have to go to the Kingdom Hall, but they're sick the whole time, panic attacks, and just so upset by what they're hearing and seeing at the Kingdom Halls that, some even go home and are vomiting. So, it's ones like that. It's like, our heart goes out to them because they're stuck.
And thank you for requalifying that, because we did make a statement in a previous video regarding who I am talking about when I talk like this.
Yeah.
See, here's the JW elder that I am talking about. We recently uploaded a secretly recorded judicial hearing where the elder admitted to watching the Royal Australian Commission, and he still sticks with Watchtower. He knows what the truth is from this organization.
Well, he even says at one point that the brothers are trying to defend their funds. And that's why basically they're lying in court for this, is to protect their funds. No, and that's what we mean. At what point, does the bad outweigh the good? If they're lying in court to protect their funds, no.
So when you awaking Jehovah's Witnesses find yourself in a situation that you want to go to your judicial hearing, just remember, you're going to be dealing with men that want you to live their sexual fantasies. These men are hiding the fact that this is a cult based on the occult that is involved in phallic worship. This is who you're dealing with.
Well, in fact, I was talking to someone on the phone, and they were so proud of their daughter who was hauled in for a judicial hearing, for fornication or adultery. I don't remember which one. And the questions got so graphic that she stood up and said, "You are a bunch of perverts. I am not telling you anything else. You've got enough information. All you need to know is that we had sex. That's all you need to know. You don't need details. You don't need sex act details. Nothing like that." And she walked out. And I wish more and more would do that.
Yeah.
Because
take the
these
power.
men do not need to know these graphic details.
Unless they want you to relate those experiences in such graphic detail so that they themselves can live that sexual fantasy.
And Watchtower, by allowing these elders to ask questions like that, you're disgusting.
Absolutely.
And you should be telling them not to be asking these perverted, graphic questions.
But when your God is Jehovah,
Well,
you have no choice but to bow down and worship that God that makes you worship the penis.
yep. Those of you that, think this is okay, you might as well make a shrine just like that
Yeah.
guy did in that video.
But they've done so much good. They've done so much good. They've helped so many people.
They teach
We
people the Bible.
We
The
can
relief
overlook
work.
that. We can overlook that.
Well, look at all the relief work they're doing now. Our friend Matt, thanks for letting us know. He just went to a meeting just Tuesday night. And he said it was unbelievable how they were bragging about all this relief work they're doing. And doing this and doing that and the millions of dollars they're spending. No!
Yet-
It's propaganda.
Yet, in the news, another JW elder was arrested for rape.
And yet we're hearing a lot of current Jehovah's Witnesses are not getting relief, or any help
Yep.
from the branch. It's other churches that are helping them.
Exactly.
And other, organizations like Salvation Army and, Red Cross and ones like that. Those are the ones that are helping.
Yeah. So anyhow, thanks for watching.
Thanks for sticking with us through the whole
Yes.
thing.
We hope that you see the dangers that Kim and I see with this religion. I hope you can appreciate the depth of the occult that Watchtower is involved with. And I sincerely hope that you're not a Jehovah's Witness that has been able to see this video and other videos exposing the Watchtower Bible Tract Society and still convince yourself that this organization has done so much good.
And that reminds me, I'm going to put a link down below in the description to a video Dallas, Canada did, where he has pictures of the International Bible students having a convention in a Masonic temple. And they
Yes.
did this for several years in a row.
Yes.
So,
Well, thanks for watching, and I guess we're going to go have some dinner and watch the ball game, aren't
World
we?
Series, Game
Yes.
3 of the World Series. So,
Go Astros.
yes, you all have a wonderful weekend, and we love you. Bye.